For weeks, investigators have been searching for answers inside what many have called one of the most disturbing child neglect cases Ohio has seen in years. 16 children were removed from a single home. 4 adults were arrested. The images shocked the country. But while the public focused on the condition of the house, investigators quietly carried away something that may prove even more important than the property itself. Boxes of electronic devices, cell phones, tablets, computers, digital storage devices. At first glance, they looked ordinary. Yet to experienced investigators, those devices could become silent witnesses. Unlike people, digital evidence does not forget. It records conversations, locations, photographs, internet activity, messages, videos, and thousands of tiny details that can help investigators rebuild a timeline. Every deleted file, every login, every search history entry, and every GPS record has the potential to answer questions that no witness can. Authorities have confirmed that electronic devices seized from the Ohio home are being examined by specialists. However, investigators have not publicly disclosed what has been recovered or whether any digital evidence supports additional criminal allegations. At this stage, those findings remain confidential while the investigation continues. That uncertainty is exactly why the digital investigation has become one of the most important parts of this case. Investigators are no longer relying only on what they saw inside the home. They are trying to understand what happened over months, or perhaps even years, before officers ever entered the property. What did the adults communicate with one another? Who knew about the children's living conditions? Were there warning signs hidden inside years of digital records? Could electronic evidence reveal a completely different timeline than the one currently known? Those questions cannot be answered by looking at the house alone. Modern criminal investigations often depend on digital forensics. A single smartphone can contain years of information, even if some files were deleted. Specialists can sometimes recover deleted photographs, identify when messages were sent, determine where devices traveled, and reconstruct activity minute by minute. Every piece of data is compared against interviews, medical examinations, witness statements, and physical evidence. In a case involving 16 children, that process becomes even more significant. Investigators are not simply looking for one piece of evidence. They are attempting to understand an entire environment. They want to determine whether the digital record supports what witnesses describe, whether it contradicts statements already made, or whether it uncovers information that has never been reported before. That work cannot be rushed. Extracting data from multiple devices can take weeks or even months. Every recovered file must be authenticated, analyzed, and connected to the broader investigation before prosecutors can decide whether additional charges are appropriate. For now, the devices remain silent to the public. But inside forensic laboratories, investigators are asking a simple question. If these phones could tell the story of what happened inside that house, what would they reveal? When investigators seize electronic devices during a major criminal investigation, they are not simply looking for photos or text messages. They are trying to reconstruct an entire timeline. Every phone, tablet, laptop, or storage device is treated like a digital crime scene. Before anyone examines the contents, forensic specialists create an exact copy of the device. This process preserves the original evidence and ensures that every file can later be verified in court. Once that digital image is created, the real investigation begins. The first objective is often the timeline. Investigators want to know when devices were used, where they traveled, and who was using them. Every login, every deleted file, every saved photograph, and every location record can help establish a sequence of events. Even information that appears insignificant on its own may become important when combined with medical records, witness interviews, or physical evidence collected from the home. Messages are another major focus. Forensic analysts may examine text messages, email accounts, social media conversations, and communication apps to determine who was communicating with whom and when those conversations took place. They are not searching for dramatic confessions. More often, investigators look for patterns, inconsistencies, or conversations that help explain everyday events leading up to the alleged crimes. Photographs and videos can also become valuable evidence. Digital files often contain hidden information known as metadata. So besides the image itself, metadata may record when a photo was taken, the device used to capture it, and in some cases the location where it was created. That information can help investigators compare digital records with statements made during interviews. Search history is another piece of the puzzle. Investigators may review internet searches, browser activity, and downloaded files to better understand what users were researching or doing online before law enforcement became involved. Standing alone, a search history rarely proves a crime. However, when combined with other evidence, it may help establish context or support a broader investigative timeline. Location data can be equally important. Modern smartphones continuously generate location information through GPS services, Wi-Fi networks, and cellular towers. When available, these records may help investigators determine whether a device remained inside the home, traveled elsewhere, or was present at specific locations during key periods. Those records are compared carefully with witness accounts and other physical evidence. Investigators may also attempt to recover deleted data. Deleting a photograph or a message does not always remove it permanently. Depending on the device, the condition of the storage media, and the methods used, forensic specialists can sometimes recover information that users believed had disappeared. Whether anything has been recovered in this case has not been publicly disclosed. Another area of interest involves cloud accounts. Many phones automatically back up photographs, messages, documents, and other files to online services. If investigators obtain the necessary legal authority, those cloud records may provide additional information that no longer exists on the physical device itself. Authorities have confirmed that electronic devices seized during this investigation are being examined, but they have not announced what, if anything, has been recovered. At this stage, the forensic analysis remains ongoing, and any conclusions about the contents of those devices would be premature. That is why digital evidence is often described as one of the most powerful forms of evidence in modern criminal investigations. Unlike eyewitness testimony, electronic records are created automatically. They cannot explain motives or emotions, but they can document time, movement, communication, and activity with remarkable precision. And in a case involving 16 children, investigators hope those silent digital records may help answer questions that no one has yet been able to explain. As investigators continue examining the electronic devices, one question hangs over the entire case. Could digital evidence completely change what prosecutors believe happened inside that house? In many criminal investigations, the answer is yes. Physical evidence can reveal where people were found. Medical examinations can document injuries. Witnesses can describe what they saw. But digital evidence can connect every one of those pieces into a single timeline. That is why investigators often describe electronic devices as silent witnesses. The first type of evidence they may be looking for is communication. Not because investigators expect to find a written confession, but because ordinary conversations can reveal extraordinary details. Who was giving instructions? Who knew what was happening inside the home? Did anyone outside the family raise concerns? Did anyone discuss the children's living conditions before law enforcement arrived? Sometimes a single message can establish when someone first became aware of a problem. Other times, months of conversations reveal patterns that no witness could fully remember. Another critical category is photographs and videos. Images can document conditions inside a home long before investigators ever arrive. Even if those images were never shared publicly, they may provide valuable context about daily life, living conditions, or changes over time. Just as important is the metadata attached to those files. A photograph is not only an image. It may also record the exact date, the approximate time, and sometimes even the location where it was created. Those details can help investigators compare digital records with witness interviews, medical findings, and other physical evidence. Location history is another powerful source of information. Modern smartphones constantly generate location data through GPS, Wi-Fi networks, and nearby cell towers. When legally obtained and technically available, those records can help investigators determine where a device was during key periods. They may also help verify or challenge statements made during interviews. Investigators also pay close attention to deleted information. People often believe that deleting a message or a photograph removes it forever. In reality, digital forensic specialists can sometimes recover deleted data depending on the device, the storage system, and how much time has passed. Authorities have not announced whether any deleted material has been recovered in this investigation. Internet activity may also become part of the review. Search history, downloaded files, browser records, and account activity can provide context about what users were doing online. On their own, those records do not establish criminal responsibility. But when combined with other evidence, they may help investigators understand events leading up to the alleged offenses. Cloud storage presents another possibility. Many devices automatically synchronize photographs, documents, messages, and backups to online accounts. If investigators obtain the appropriate legal authority, those cloud records can sometimes preserve information that no longer exists on the physical device itself. None of these individual categories necessarily prove a crime. That is not how modern investigations work. Instead, detectives compare every digital record with every interview, every forensic examination, every medical report, and every piece of physical evidence collected from the scene. Only when those independent sources begin telling the same story does the overall picture become clearer. Authorities have confirmed that electronic devices seized during this investigation are undergoing forensic examination. However, they have not released the results, and no conclusions about the contents of those devices have been made public. For investigators, that is where patience becomes essential. The strongest criminal cases are rarely built around a single dramatic discovery. They are built one verified fact at a time. And somewhere inside thousands of digital files, investigators hope to determine whether those silent devices can answer the questions that have haunted this case since the day 16 children were rescued. As the forensic examination continues, the investigation is moving toward one of the most important stages in the American criminal justice system, the grand jury. Unlike a trial, a grand jury does not determine guilt or innocence. Its role is much narrower. After reviewing the evidence presented by prosecutors, grand jurors decide whether there is probable cause to bring additional criminal charges or move existing charges forward. That decision could shape everything that follows. Right now, the 4 defendants are facing child endangering charges. They have all pleaded not guilty, and the investigation remains active. Prosecutors have indicated that they are waiting for additional evidence before determining whether further charges are appropriate. That is why the digital forensic work matters so much. Investigators are not simply collecting information. They are testing every allegation against objective evidence. Every interview is compared with digital records. Every medical finding is reviewed alongside the investigative timeline. Every statement is measured against whatever the electronic devices may reveal. If those independent pieces of evidence support one another, prosecutors may believe they have a stronger case. If they uncover significant new information, investigators could seek additional charges. At this point, however, authorities have not announced that any new charges will be filed, and they have not released the results of the forensic analysis. Any conclusion about what investigators have found would be speculation. The digital examination is only one part of a much larger investigation. Medical evaluations continue. Child specialists continue working with the rescued children. Investigators continue interviewing witnesses. Forensic experts continue reviewing evidence collected from the property. Each step takes time. Complex investigations are rarely solved by a single discovery. They are built through hundreds of verified facts that gradually form a complete picture. And there are still questions that no one outside the investigation can answer. What exactly led authorities to execute the search warrant at that home? Will the forensic examination confirm the timeline investigators are trying to establish? Will digital evidence support the statements already given to law enforcement? Or will it reveal information that changes the direction of the entire investigation? For now, those answers remain inside evidence rooms, forensic laboratories, and the offices of investigators who continue working behind closed doors. The rescued children are now receiving care while the criminal case moves forward. The defendants remain innocent unless proven guilty in court. And until prosecutors present their evidence before a grand jury, much of what happened inside that Ohio home remains unknown. But one thing is already clear. This investigation is far from over. As new court filings, forensic findings, and official announcements become public, they may finally explain how 16 children lived for so long beyond the view of the outside world. Until then, the phones remain silent. The investigators keep searching, and the truth, whatever it may be, is still waiting to be uncovered.